Hello, everybody. Hello. God bless you. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Of course, this is Eric. And with me, I've got Mr. Owen Macdonald to visit
Hello.
us today. And I want everybody to welcome him. And we don't need any booze in the field out there. But we're going to be having a big discussion today regarding Trump and God, MAGA and God. So I'm looking forward to this. Um, Owen, why don't you take a few minutes and just tell us about yourself?
Well, thank you for a very kind introduction, Eric. Yeah, I'm Owen Macdonald. Obviously, I'm British, not American, but I'm quite interested in the events happening on the other side of the pond, the Atlantic. I would say that I'm a little bit critical, probably a bit critical of Trump and such, and I've got a few interesting thoughts on. Well, I'd like to say very interesting. I mean, it's a bit self-centered, isn't it? But I'd like to think about how Donald Trump and his parties and his party and such link to religious themes and how there, in my mind, is a bit of a dissonance between the ethos of what Jesus said in Christianity and the actions of Donald Trump and such. But yeah, thank you for inviting me on, Eric.
Oh, I'm really glad to have you. And I don't know, he may not want to have another conversation after this one, but I've also offered to go back to his channel anytime he'd like to, if he would like to do that and further our conversation. And so I'm really looking forward to this one. Let me ask you, Owen. I know you're coming here to talk about Trump and God, but I was wondering about. I've got some friends that live in the UK, and good people. They're not the type of people to be that are haters, for instance, against anybody because of who they are or where they're from or anything like that. And yet they have to walk on eggshells. It seems like both Canada and the UK are in serious danger of losing their freedom of speech if they haven't already. For instance, a woman was arrested in the UK for praying outside of an abortion clinic in silence, for praying quietly, silently outside of an abortion clinic. And I've seen people arrested for, I guess there's 30 or 40 arrests per week lately on some of the because of the remarks on social media. Do you see much of that? And may I ask your opinion of that? I'm just curious, and then we can go on to
Okay,
whatever
well,
you
we can,
like.
yeah, we'll take a little detour before we go on to the Trump stuff. But yeah, so the abortion clinic stuff, obviously in America, abortions are a much more hotly contested issue. And so abortion clinics often are the targets of domestic terrorism, of very vociferous protests, and it can be quite dangerous, depending on where the clinic is, for people either using the clinic or working at the clinic to operate their day-to-day lives and such. And so because of that, authorities set up buffer zones where the clinic is to prevent people from getting too close and for situations to get out of hand. Now, these buffer zones are there to protect the people who use the clinic or work there, because these are the targets of frequent domestic terrorism threats. And so even if the person, the woman in question, yeah, even if they're just praying, they still need to adhere to the rules that have been set, because other people who might take things a lot further will see this and act on it if there's not stuff done to stop them. As for the social media posts, I think it's always important to remember the context. Free speech isn't freedom from consequences. Like, if you say and do actions online which contribute to a wider culture of harm, as we saw last year, for instance, is the context for a lot of this. We had some riots from various far right groups, and so for instance, mosques were being targeted, hotels that house refugees and such were the victim of arson attacks. There were really awful things happening, and so social media was where a lot of the organisation and incitement was taking place. And so a few people who have been taken into questioning by the police have been. This has happened to them because of things they've said and their involvement in a lot of the activities that are happening. So I wouldn't say there's. I mean, where I would say there is a free speech issue or an issue of criticism is what elements of the government are doing in regards to other issues, so like freedom to protest. It is definitely in a little bit of contention because of various governments passing anti-protest, making it harder to protest and giving the police more powers to detain protesters. But I wouldn't say it's for the same reasons that have potentially been brought up here. To answer your question, anyhow.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Regarding the abortion clinic, though, it seems like it's a safe place to, from my point of view, a safe place to take your children and have them killed. that
Well,
I think that's rather ironic.
I
But
mean,
no, don't
I
get me
think
wrong. I'm not a hater, and I don't. I don't propose violence against abortionists. I don't propose violence against anybody. Um, but I do. I do find it ironic that we will go to the lengths to, um, like, curtail protesters and people that just want to pray. We'll go to those lengths for people that just want to pray while they're praying for children that are being taken there to be killed. Uh,
well, I mean, you can probably guess that we have quite a big disagreement on that point. But where I think you said it yourself, right? Whether or not you personally like abortion, the people who use the clinic are at risk if they let people right outside the clinic, because there are people who
yes.
will try and harm either the doctors and medical professionals who are working there or the people who need to use the clinics, which don't just perform abortions, they perform many services of healthcare, in the orbit of healthcare. So
Yeah.
it's quite important that these buffer zones are, really maintained. In an ideal society, wouldn't need them there because they'd be able to just be there and not be targeted. But we live in quite a
Well,
society where a lot of people are, there's a lot of domestic terrorism that comes from quite right wing groups, and so unfortunately, there does need to be some organisation there. But yeah, let's get on to the topic at hand. The
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I will wrap that up just by saying, though, that we do have people that will go to some of the abortion clinics here in the United States and offer to pray with people, and they have literature that offers them other avenues uh, of that may address their problem. Other avenues, and I think that should be. I think that's fair enough. That, but uh, I'm also a constitutionalist. But go ahead. We can uh, take on your questions and comments there. Let's
yeah,
go ahead.
we can touch on that a bit later, perhaps. But yeah, I think Trump and MAGA and religion and Christianity. I think there's a really interesting theme that emerges with it because, as I understand, I mean, everyone's got their own experience of religion, right? I would never sort of define what you believe when you can say it yourself, right? But as I understand it, Jesus Christ teaches we should love our neighbours, that we should be treat everyone as though they are the God's creations and have respect for all life and such. Would you agree with that as like a general sort of
Oh,
starting point?
absolutely. Yeah,
Brilliant. And then I look at much of what happens with so the Trump administration, the Trump movement, and a lot of the theming of the Republican Party is around this sort of Christian interpretation of America, right? Like the idea that America is a Christian nation and we've got to put Christian values back at the heart of American politics. Would you agree with that as well?
Yeah, yeah, probably so. Yeah.
Um, Brilliant. Well, I think then my sort of confusion then comes with these two sort of premises as we've just sort of outlined, and then the actual actions of the Trump administration, which don't seem to match this ethos at all. I mean, I could list off dozens of things that would sort of conflict with this. The ICE raids, which do not that's not loving anyone. The fact that overwhelmingly resources are being sort of shifted and shunted upwards towards corporations and billionaires and not the average person, the shutting down and defunding of various organizational bodies that a lot of people require to make their life easier and have a nicer time of things. The fact that the land and the environment is being set up for deregulated, and they're setting it up for more exploitation via fossil fuel companies and drilling and such, and selling off to private corporations. So many different areas, I think, just are clearly not adhering to the idea of respecting yourself and your fellow neighbor and the land around you. Like I see such a contrast between what Christians, what Jesus Christ and figures like that are supposed to hold dear to them, and then what is actually sort of happening with that administration. Would you where would you say you stand on that? Do you agree?
Well, I can tackle this. That's no problem. Before we get into that, let me just say hello to a couple of people out there. Brother Timothy, Christian Carpenter, Tommy, God bless you guys. Good to see you. Yes, Owen. First of all, we don't live in a theocracy. The United States isn't a theocracy. Um, we're not given the ability to just put a Christian in office. I wish we could. I really wish we could. I really wish we could have a much stronger Christian platform out there. I really do. So we're given a host of possibilities for which we can vote for. Um, Now, what we've just come out of is a far left leadership. And what it was replaced with was, some people would call it a far right leadership, but I would highly disagree. It's not a far right leadership at all. But let's look at what we were replacing. What we had in office, most of the people didn't know the difference between a man and a woman. They couldn't define a woman, dude. Now, let me ask you something. Do you think that a party that doesn't know what a woman is better suited to run this nation? I mean, think about that for a moment. If they don't know what a woman is, how are they suited to run a nation?
I mean, are you still saying stuff? Sorry, did you want me to answer that? Or
Yeah. It's you. We spend tens of thousands of dollars in tuition to send our children to school, and out of high school, they can tell you all about biology. They know the difference between a man and a woman. They know that a man can't have a baby. A man doesn't menstruate. They
so,
know these things. You send them to college, and they come out thinking that a man can have a baby, and that yeah, sex is on a spectrum. You can be whatever you want to be. Now,
okay.
do you believe that that's true?
So what you've described there is, I mean, firstly, not really related to what we said, but biology is something which is taught in various stages, right? So when you are a kid, let's use an analogy. Maths, you learn to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, right? You aren't instantly told about decimal numbers and negative numbers and algebra when you're like 5, because it would be very hard to someone who's still learning to get your head around all those things. You when you're learning about art and colors, you're given maybe like the first red, the colors of a rainbow, right? You're not
Yeah.
instantly taught about like turquoise and cyan, and you're not given like like MS Paint. You get like the full color spectrum, and you can just drag the sliders and get any color you like. You're not given all that when you're a kid straight away, because typically it would be a lot for a kid to take in. And so, similarly, biology, as taught currently, which is not a perfect way of teaching, but the sort of convention is to teach roughly what fits general expectations of the body. So, male features, female features, and so on. But the expectation is that as you get older and want to learn more, that you learn about the more complex nature of the body, that actually the classifications that humans have put onto it, because let's be clear, male and female are human produced categories, they describe things we have observed as humans. We learn that actually things are a little bit less complex, that sex isn't so much binary as it is bimodal, where it trends towards two generally consistent categories, but there's enough outliers and inconsistencies and things which are a bit different to say, well, actually, the body's a bit more complex than just everyone is either A or B, male or female, 0 or 1. And so, because of this, we're then able also to see that gender, which is a socially expressed thing, something which we don't really have inherently within us, but something which is expressed through how we perceive ourselves in society, is then something which is malleable and something that is attuned to a person. Like, we are both male, I would assume, but we're we're not going to have exactly the same maleness. Like, if you were to test things in our body and observe us, we're not going to have the same, like, exact same conditions and criteria and such. But because we say we are both men and we both perform maleness in a certain way that sort of aligns with what we would expect, that's enough, right? We're men because we say we are, essentially. So to sort of draw back around, because I think that this little sort of tangent came from, the Democrats can't decide what a man or a woman is. Like, it's a somewhat redundant question, really, because it sort of doesn't, like, actually match up with anything. Like, there's no set definition, really. Not one which is consistent with modern science and what scientific, peer-reviewed research is saying.
Oh, you wouldn't say that a definition of a woman would be the the sex that is capable of bearing children?
I would say that's a simplistic and actually quite exclusive definition, which would leave out a lot of people that we would just see as women. I would say that that's something that humans have decided, independent of what is actually true of just humanity. Like,
So,
before,
if you don't mind me asking, do you believe that a man can become a woman?
what do you mean by that?
Do you believe a man can become a woman? Like, we have men in this country, for instance, that insist on you calling them a woman. They insist that they be able to use the women's restrooms,
So
that they
are
be
you
able
talking
to
about transgender people here?
that they be able to take women's sports away from women. And
So those, I don't quite think that's what's happening, really. So in terms of like, if you're talking about transgender people, so transgender means gender, like trans means change. Gender obviously is what we express ourselves, right? So when a person's born, a doctor assigns them a gender. They give a cursory
hold on,
look at
hold on.
them.
You notice what you say there. You say the doctor assigns a gender.
Yeah,
Okay. Now, isn't it closer to the truth that when a baby is born, the doctor observes its gender
observe
and
observes
says
in
this is a
terms
boy
of
or this is a
human
girl?
assumptions, but that's not
What's that?
intuitively observe. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, brilliant. So they observe what their expectation of gender is as based on our societal norms, but that's not definitive proof. The person themselves knows how they will feel as they eventually, grow into an older state, right? When you're a baby, you don't really have any understanding of what gender is because you're a baby. You've just been born.
You mean
But
you
so
can't look at this baby and see that it has a penis and say
you can
it's a
observe
boy?
its physical features. But physical features don't determine gender, do they?
Well,
Gender is just what
sure.
we express.
Oh, well, no, that's not what we would say. That
Well,
that may be
it's
what
what
the
the
far
science
left would
says.
say. That that
It's
might
what
be
the
the that might be what the far left would say, but that's not what normal people say.
it's what
Normal
peer
people
reviewed
say
science says.
well, science was here a lot longer before this weird gender swapping sort of an ideal came along. Science was here a long time ago, saying if it's penis, it's a boy. If it's a vagina, it's a girl.
Well,
How
I wouldn't quite say that's true because plenty of places around the world have had different gender and sex expectations than what we're used to in
does that make
Western
everybody wrong?
society.
Does that make them right?
Does that make us right? I mean, it's
Okay,
just two different belief sets, right? The science, though, the peer-reviewed science says that gender, as something we express, and sex are beyond that of a sort of fairly rudimentary binary. That life is more complex than just a very
who says that?
basic categorization. Peer-reviewed
Who said?
science.
Well, science says that.
Peer-reviewed scientists, so like people who have studied people, gender and sex and stuff, and
Well,
then they've compared it with other scientists and other research and found the same results, and then that has been produced to make a peer-reviewed scientific study. But it's also just
we also have
a fit.
scientists that say that that's a weird crock of crap.
But is
No
that?
offense,
But
but
do you know what peer-reviewed means though by that?
oh
Do you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
as
In
in
peer
other so
reviewed,
scientific organizations have come to the same, they've checked the work. They haven't just, because like anyone could, I could tomorrow publish a report that says gravity's fake, it's not real, it's
exactly.
actually Owen energy,
So
but
you
it
don't
wouldn't
really have a
get peer
point there,
reviewed.
then, do you?
Sorry.
So then you don't really have a point there. You're proving my point
No, you didn't
that
let me finish
any
though.
any
So
weirdo can write up a paper and
no, but peer reviewed means that it gets checked, Eric.
peer
So
reviewed
if
with other weirdos. Yes,
so
exactly.
it's not no. So if I publish that report that I obviously wouldn't publish because I don't actually believe that,
Now,
if I
speaking of
publish
peer
that,
review, do
sorry.
you know how many peer reviews are retracted every single day? How many peer reviewed papers are retracted every single day?
Go ahead,
I
you tell me.
subscribe to this thing called, well, what it does, it tracks peer reviewed journals because that's something that I'm into. I read peer reviewed journals every day uh, regarding science. And I have this thing every day that sends me things that are that they comb the peer reviewed journals and they send me items every day that are retracted from peer review. And that's one of the major problems that we have in science today is too many people are out trying to make a name for themselves. And peer review is set up in its you've got people that protect a bad system. And they do it, let's face it, you've got to follow a certain, how can I put this? You have to sing the right song if you're going to get along uh, with science today, like evolution, for instance. Uh, you have all the peer reviewed stuff, and you have all the claims of evolution. For instance, every fossil is a transitional fossil. And I know this is getting off a little bit. Let's just show you what I'm talking about. You'll even see in peer review that every fossil is a transitional fossil, and yet they don't follow um, scientific procedure, scientific methodology to come to that. For instance, the reason I say that, you can say an Archaeopteryx, for instance, is related to theropod dinosaurs, but you don't have a single drop of DNA to test that theory of the theropod dinosaur or the Archaeopteryx. And so these claims are made scientifically every day. They're in the textbooks, they're in peer reviewed literature, but they don't mean a thing because they're not scientifically tested. And if it's not scientifically tested, then it's not science. And so, in my opinion, Owen, and you may agree with me. I'm not. You're not a bad person because you disagree with me. But for me to say, hey, look, I'm a woman, that would be like me saying, hey, look, I'm black. I can't be a woman. I was born a man. I'm not black. So I don't have
Well,
your heritage. I can't,
it's
I'm not a
interesting.
Mexican, for instance.
It's interesting that sorry to cut you off there. It's interesting that you bring up race and nationality as the two examples there, because they are also both socially constructed things, right? Race, I mean, there's more melanin in my skin than there is in yours, Eric, but
Yes.
that isn't, like, melanin counts are ultimately things separate from how race was determined, which is essentially race was constructed as a means of discriminating against people of darker skin tones as part of the sort of wider racist discourse of empire and colonialism and such, right? Before that took place in sort of the 1500s, 1600s, you had essentially people treating racial, sort of skin tone differences in the same way they might treat hair color, height, just other physical characteristics which are different and are noticeable, but not things that would have been a society dividing line. Racial divisions of society are socially constructed and then become or feel real because of how society reacts and acts around it. So obviously we have different races as we understand it now, like because we live in a society that has treated it as real for many, many centuries. But scientifically, outside of our melanin counts being different, it's not like a dividing factor of humans. Nationality is another one. Nations are real because we say they're real, because in society, America, Mexico, the UK, Canada, they're all of different cultures and of different practices and governments, and all of that's different. But there's no, if an alien were to pluck a Mexican and an American out of society, other than things which had been socially different about how they'd been brought up and such, they were about how different diets or different exposure to like environmental conditions and stuff. There's no like taxonomical difference between the two, because Mexico and America are social constructs. They're not inherent to the planet Earth. They're things that humans have decided. And so similarly, male and female, man and woman, these are also social constructs. The body exists independent of what humans could say anything about anything, right? We can essentially make whatever categories we like. Some are going to be closer to, so like, this is my hand, this is my arm, here's my shoulder. Like, they're things which physically exist. Male and female are adjectives that we've applied to things we've observed about our body. Can you see that?
Well, who do you think is capable of birthing a child, a man or a woman?
Someone with a womb.
You say some of each,
No, a womb, I said. Someone with a womb.
and that would be what?
It's a person with a womb, doesn't that? Like, I don't know.
Isn't it?
I don't know who the
Do men
person
have
is. Right?
wombs?
Sorry?
Do men have wombs?
Could do. A man with a womb could walk past you tomorrow and you'd have no way of knowing, Eric.
So you don't know if isn't it women who have wombs?
Typically, that's what's been assumed. Most women will have a womb, but
And
not
and
all,
is that
and
all
some
that's
men.
necessary? Don't you need an entire like female set of and innards the way it
We
should?
could prove this quite quickly, Eric. We could sort of prove what I'm saying. Tomorrow, you could go to, I don't know where you are in America, but you could go out somewhere. You could use a bathroom in whatever public function you're in, like a public one, right? Man could walk, so a man who looks exactly like yourself or like me could walk straight past you. You would not bat an eye because it's a man in the bathroom with you, men's bathroom. You don't know what's inside that person's body. You'll never see what's inside that person's body. But
But
because they
we're not
visibly appear male,
we're not talking
there's,
about fooling people though. We're
but it's
talking
not
about
fooling them, is it?
what
It's
the
their
person
identity.
actually. We're talking about what the person actually is. For
But
instance,
you'd never.
somebody with a womb that has the potential to bear a child, that is a woman, right?
You'd
Men
have no
cannot do
way.
that. Wouldn't you agree with that? Men do
I
not
would
do
not
that.
agree with that. No, because you'd have no way. Let's go back to that example I said. The person with the womb walks past you in the men's bathroom. You have no way of knowing what their physical
It
anatomy
doesn't
is.
matter if I think they're ugly or not, dude.
It's
It
not
does,
about ugliness. That
it does. Yeah, it doesn't matter if I think they're ugly. It doesn't
not got
matter if
anything
I
to do
think
with
it
that.
looks like a dude. You know.
But do you see though that this would be a functionally useless way of organizing society? Because you like if someone looked exactly like, so you when you go into the bathroom, right? In the public bathroom, there's cubicles. You are going in. Person who's leaving looks exactly like you. Would you say, "Excuse me, I need to check to see if you're a man or not" to that
Well,
person?
dude, I don't stop people at the bathroom door.
Of
And
course.
now I'll tell you something. I would stop people at the bathroom door if it was a ladies' bathroom and my grandchildren were in there. I had a granddaughter in there. If I saw a guy walking in there, you better believe it. Let me tell you something, dude. Here in our country, okay, they started in California. They started allowing boys to use the women's restroom in schools.
Don't think they did,
Oh,
Eric.
yes, they did. Yes, they did. You can ask anybody in the
I
chat.
mean, mate.
You can ask anybody in the chat. And there were cases. Now, you can laugh about this if you like, but there were cases where the girls have been uh, assaulted in the girls' bathroom, and not just assaulted, but they're forced to witness certain things. For instance, they walked in and one boy that was sitting there masturbating, and
This
they
has nothing to do with
but
transgender
but this
people,
yes this
Eric.
does
Like
because this
this,
happened.
this sounds like a
This
random
only
scare story,
happened. This only
which
happened because the law is current. The law was current, and the law allowed it. And this boy was taken to court. The California judge threw it out because he was a fat boy. The judge said they couldn't have
what?
seen much. But yeah, that's the truth.
This sounds very spurious, Eric. I'm not going to lie. But
Well, you can call it first.
even if this story were true, um,
It is true.
that even if exactly how you reported it was what happened, it still wouldn't it wouldn't have any bearing on this conversation about sort of
Well,
gender
I
and
think it
such. And it
would.
also would be very, it's someone who belongs to this identity did something bad. Therefore, what we've got to throw the whole thing in the bin. Like that is a very dangerous precedent. We'd have a very like society wouldn't
The very dangerous
precedent
precedent is to let
precedent.
men in girls' bathrooms to take away the safe spot for every woman. That should be a safe spot.
That's not happening.
Well,
That's not
that is
what's going on.
happening right here in the United
Anyway,
States. And if it's happened, if your girls in the UK, brother, are forced to put up with this, and then they can't say anything about it because it's hate speech. Well, maybe
no.
that's
What
why you don't
if you
know.
were if we're
Maybe
interested
that's.
in
I'm just suggesting, Owen, that might be why you don't hear anything about it because telling the
if
truth
we're
about it would be
interested,
considered
Eric,
hate
in
speech.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I don't think you would hear anything about it because it would be considered hate speech. So
No,
that's
I
why they're
don't.
not going to publicize it in your nation. That's why
No,
it's getting.
we very much have the same scare stories in the UK. We're just a bit less right wing than the US, and we don't have the same fervent. I mean, we still got our issues with transphobia and stuff, but
Transphobia. How do you get
anti-trans,
transphobia out of this?
anti-LGBTQ stuff. Sorry.
Why do you think that I'm transphobic?
Well, the transphobic scare stuff. Oh, men are invading women's bathrooms. Well, no, there's
Well, you
no.
don't
That has
think they
nothing to
are?
do with trans people. That's like the fact that abusive incidents happen is independent of whether or not people exist who are trans, isn't it? Like it's if every single if you in like a video game and there were no trans people, like it's not as though abuse would end because the issue of that like this if someone is going into a space that's meant to be private and hurting people and abusing people, that is about misogyny and about abuse and about how we look after and treat people in society. That's not to do with a group that has no relation to this incident happening. It's been latched on to by far right people, by fascists and such, who then make scare stories and then change and distort the image of what's going on here
I'm
and then
glad you
sell it
bring
to a
up
mass
misogyny.
audience.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah. Well, I would disagree with you, Owen.
I'm
Uh,
sure.
when we talk about taking away women's spaces, women's safe spaces, I'm glad you brought up misogyny because I was born in 1958, so I come up through school in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and this was during a time when women were fighting for a lot of their rights. And I personally believe that everybody should be able to be secured in by the law. Everybody should be treated equally under the law, and everybody should be protected equally under the law. Everybody should be treated equally under the law. So I fought for women's rights back in my younger day, and unashamedly said yes. If they do the same job, they should get the same pay, the same respect. Period. And I believe that. But why do you think we have women's sports as compared to men's sports? Why would you say we've had that?
So we're a society divided by gender, as enforced by many centuries of patriarchal norms, and because of that division, male and female, we have separate sports. For a long time, women weren't allowed to play sports, and so as you can imagine, in 20th century, when, as you described, women started getting rights enshrined in law and such, the availability of recreational activities like sport became available. They were then therefore able to play in their own league and in their own leagues and in their own tournaments. Many sports were divided by gender because of the sort of social factors. So, for instance, women's football actually had a big boom in the war. Men were in the army, women weren't allowed to serve in the army, women were in factories and such. In their recreational time, they got the time off and were able to play sports, women's football teams and such. So you'd call it soccer, I suppose. Part of the division today that we see, whilst obviously a legacy of that patriarchal norm, is because men socially and physically have been sort of introduced to sport earlier than women professionally. There is a divide between resources and time and physical elements that go into men's sports than women's sports. However, this is not concrete law, oh, men are always going to be better than women forever. This is our social and physical history influencing how sports are divided. However, this also has very little to do with transgender people who are sort of
I think it's got a lot to do with
inserted artificially into this issue by bigots and by the far right and such to try and weaponize stuff against them. It's like it's not really actually an issue if you were to actually look at the.
Well, let's take a look at this for a minute. It's not actually an issue unless you're a woman. Men and women's sports. First of all, we have men's sports. And we have women's sports because women are known and always have classically been known as the weaker sex. Now, you can laugh at that. But, if the average woman is going to go up against the average male boxer is going to whip her all over the place.
Boxing's it doesn't matter if by weight. Boxing's a sport by weight.
Well, hold on. We have women's basketball because women can't jump as high. They're not normally as tall. They can't jump as high. They can't throw as far. They're not as strong as women. Most women can't outrun most men.
All of this is predicated on a set of assumptions that aren't really backed up by science. Which is just assumptions on our society.
Listen, we have women's sports here in America. Do you know Riley Gaines? Have you ever heard that name, Riley Gaines?
I've heard of her because of her media presence. I wasn't aware of her until she started moaning about trans people.
Oh, moaning about it. Riley Gaines was like a top swimmer in our country, a top female swimmer. And there was a fella, Leah Thomas. I don't know what his male name is, but he goes by the name of.
Is she a trans woman, Eric?
He's a guy, dude. He's a man.
Come on.
And Eric. Leah Thomas was allowed. This man wasn't just allowed, but these girls had to be forced to let him go into their dressing room naked.
Eric, is any of this true?
That is true. And change his
or
clothes right in
presented
there
through hyperbole and
in
bigotry.
front of all these girls. And they couldn't do anything about that. They were forced, if they were going to participate, they were forced to sit there and endure that. That that's just not right. Now, second of all, every time that this man won a ribbon, he won just about every time he swam. He came in first almost every single time, and every
Is
time
that
he
true,
won
Eric?
yes, it's true. And
If it
every
was
time he
true,
won a ribbon, he took that spot.
You're having to try to misgender her, by the way, because
He
this is a very silly thing to be going on about.
he
Like the fact that you have to think about it every time when you misgender her
no,
demonstrates what we're
he's
saying earlier
misgendered
about this being a
himself,
social
dude. I'm
thing.
calling him what he is. He's a male, a biological
No,
male.
no. If you met
He
Leah
has
in real life, there's no
you
way.
you
If
you
you
can
hadn't
disagree
learned
with me
about
if
this
you
through
like,
this stuff,
but he's
it's
the
not
one
about
that has
disagreement.
misgendered. He has misgendered himself. I haven't misgendered him at all. But uh,
Embarrassing.
yeah, he was like
Yeah, keep trying.
417th as a male swimmer, a male collegiate swimmer. He was 417th. When he started identifying as a woman, quote unquote, he suddenly became first or second or somewhere in there. Quite a jump just to say I'm a failed male swimmer and now I'm a woman and look out, I'm going to take your ribbons. So these women are being ripped off, dude. Their place in collegiate history is being stolen from them. This is women's sports,
What you've
not
done,
women and
Eric.
any guy that wants to say he's a woman. But these are women's sports. You have
What
women that
you've
are
done,
boxers.
Eric,
You have women
is
that are
believe
boxers.
several scare stories from quite transphobic, quite
Oh,
openly
I'm not
fascist
transphobic at
sources.
all. You
Well,
don't
you
have
are,
to
because
acknowledge
you've
it.
gone out of your way, Eric, to misgender someone you've never met
You
and
don't
have
have to.
no link to, right?
Now,
If you met Leah in person,
you
there's
see,
no way you'd be doing all these little,
this
oh,
is
yes, I'm
why
going to
we
misgender
voted
you.
your side out of office.
Sorry? Well, we can come on to that in a second, Eric,
This
but
is exactly
just
why
think
we
about
voted
it.
your side
Yeah,
out of
yeah, this is
office.
what you tell yourself, yes, but you've got to think about it a bit, like logically and critically.
We've
If you
thought about it
hadn't,
logically and
if
critically
you
for a
hadn't
very long
heard
time.
of this, Eric, if you hadn't heard of this situation from whatever right-wing source you got this from, if you just met Leah in the street, there's no way this would be the stuff you'd be saying.
I got
You
this
would
story
think,
from Riley Gaines,
yes, a right-wing person who's
the
been
girl
funded
who
by
was ripped
extremely right-wing
off,
sources.
the girl who
There's
would
no
have
rip-off.
otherwise won the
Eric,
race.
sport is always going to be about people being better than you. Like Usain Bolt, for instance, he's taller than average, he's stronger than average, he's clearly one of the fastest people ever. Can you imagine if someone turned around and said, "Oh, this person has got unnatural advantages"? What's it called? Michael Phelps, another one. He's
Which is
got
why we divided our sports into male and female.
no. I'm talking about just when gender is a social construct. His
So now you
physical
see,
advantages help him
look at the
win.
weightlifters now.
I'm not
You have
interested in any more of these
male and
sports
female
things, Eric.
weightlifters. Are you
Eric,
aware that men can generally lift 200 or 300 pounds? Like even
What's
a
the
yeah,
Eric? What's the science behind that statement?
what?
Men's a social group. There's no definite proof, is
According
there?
to you, men are a social group.
According
Men,
to peer-reviewed science,
biological
Eric.
men,
Eric,
have
what
over
does
two
that
or three
mean,
hundred
Eric?
pounds on biological women when it comes to
Is
weightlifting.
that a sentence that's
When
supported
it
by
comes
peer-reviewed science,
to
Eric?
world records,
Eric, is that a
okay.
sentence that's supported by
I
peer-reviewed
you know
science?
I would like for you to acknowledge at least something that I'm saying here.
I am. I'm asking you to justify that sentence with
I'm
something which
asking you
isn't
to
just.
justify how come biological men can uh, overwhelmingly lift hundreds of pounds more than biological women.
It's an
I'm talking.
unjustifiable sentence, Eric, because it's not supported by any peer-reviewed science.
What
These are
is it?
social groups. These are social groups you're describing. These aren't definite, undefined, like they're not truth, are they? They're not inherent truth. They're things we have socially come to. Now, social does not mean not real. Of course, most people who are men are going to be, in the elite athletic tiers and such. Of course, there's going to be a bit of a discrepancy, but that's influenced massively by our social standing. Therefore, there's no concrete, oh, men are always forever going to be better, because man and woman are just things we've socially come to. They're social descriptions. Now, it's hard to think of it like that sometimes, because obviously we're used to things that have been fixed binaries and such, but it's got to accept it. It's like when we learn that, like for instance, how many states of matter are there? We learn about solid, liquid, gas, right, when we're at school, but there's more than just those three. There's things like plasma, which are hard to think about because we think of things so rigidly in the solid, liquid, gas trifecta, but there's more. There's so much more. When we think, going back to numbers, we think, oh, there's 100 numbers from 1 to 100, but what about 1.5? What about 2.9? 3.168. We could be here forever, basically, listing all the numbers, because there's an infinite number, but that's hard to think about if we've only ever thought in terms of whole numbers, integers. However, because there's a political element to this element of science, the fact that gender and sex are more complicated, the fact that transgender people exist, and that we have the autonomy to decide what our gender is, that is politicized because of our society's background. Let's draw ourselves back away from this sort of gender scare, trans panic stuff.
Hold on, Owen. You got to quit talking about transphobic and gender scare and all of this. You got to understand there are some people that just flat disagree with you. Okay?
Yeah, because they're scared of
hold on.
People.
Stop interrupting for just a moment. I allow you to talk all you like. You've got to get over the fact that some people are going to disagree with you. In this case, most of the United States would disagree with you. Most of the United States would disagree with you. Okay. And
is that relevant?
No offense intended here, but you don't have any idea how angry most of the parents in the United States are over many of the rules and laws that we've had to live under because of this philosophy that you're talking about. Where you do take away the safe spots of all the women, where you don't mind robbing them of their legacies in sports and etc. Where you don't mind if men just pummel the hell out of their faces in a boxing ring, and these women are getting their faces busted up. I mean, broken bones, dude. Broken faces.
In boxing, is this?
Yes, like at the Olympics. Look,
I'm sorry.
This last Olympics, it was two men in the women's boxing ranks that got all the attention and stole the legacies.
I'm sorry.
Stole the legacies of real women.
It's just not
stole
the case,
those ribbons, the first and second place ribbons from real women.
That's not what happened there.
No, that is
a lot
exactly
of people got
what
very worked up about it. No, it
and
really isn't.
Why is this? Because they couldn't do it as men. They couldn't measure up as men.
This is what people have said for a very long time, because it's a
well, they couldn't measure up as men. Why, if they are men, why can they not box as men? Why can they not swim as men?
People, yourself and others have worked themselves up into, but ultimately this is just a woman who wants to compete and is not exactly.
No, that's not a woman that wants to compete.
Other women.
It's a biological male that's saying he's a woman.
We're going back to this unscientific.
Hold on,
category.
It is a biological male claiming to be a woman so that he can compete against somebody he can beat.
Could you define what that means, please? Biological male. What is that?
Yes, a biological male. A male that is equipped like me. Probably like you. Okay?
So
it's that simple.
Genitals. Is there any proof of where this is coming from? What's the scientific rationale behind this?
Well, you can pretend like for millions of years.
Asked you, Eric. I've asked you, Eric.
Yeah, I'm asking you. Can you picture anybody? Can you picture a caveman saying what you're saying? I can't.
So cavemen didn't have gender, and they didn't divide their society by what our expectation of gender was. If you were strong, Eric, you went off and did stuff. If you
We've
were
always,
less strong, you would do farming stuff. The fact that
all through
our
history, we've
societies,
had men and women, dude. All through history. Alexander the Great
no.
didn't.
What about Alexander the Great?
Alexander. Well, he was a man, wasn't he?
Probably.
Yeah. And what was his
Yeah,
mother? His
we
mother
can't
was
ask
a
him,
woman,
can we?
right?
Sorry?
His mother was a woman, correct?
Can't ask her, can we?
But you know his mother was a woman. His mother was not a man. Alexander the Great was not a woman. We know he was a man.
We can
Now, was
assume.
he gay?
We
I
can make
don't
an
know.
educate.
He
We can
may
make a
have been.
guess, Eric.
He
That
may have
isn't
been.
proof, is it?
He may have
You're
been gay, but
assuming.
he was a man.
Probably.
Alexander's generals, they may have been gay, but they were men. Okay.
That doesn't dispute what we're saying here, Eric.
If they
We're
would
asking-
have, if they would have partaken in the in the Olympics of their days, they would have participated as men. Okay.
Not
So, and just like
necessarily.
today,
Eric.
well, it should be necessarily. It
should
was.
isn't the same thing as
It's only
is it?
it's only
No,
not been necessarily so in these last few years,
that
and
isn't the
society
case,
has gone
Eric.
insane. Now,
Eric.
this is why, Owen, we voted your side out of office.
That's a separate point, Eric. Like the fact, I mean, you can surely see that, right? Like, you're not telling me you would accept me saying that to you if Democrats had won, which I would say I'm not a Democrat. By the way,
If a person doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman, I don't think they've got the common sense to run a nation.
You've been asked what this category, biological male, is, and you seem to be skirting around the actual. You said about genitals.
Well,
Where's
the obvious
proof
is
of
too.
that?
The answer
The
is too
obvious,
obvious.
but is that
If
scientific?
I've got to explain that to you, I feel like I'm trying to explain it to a wall. Let me
Why
give
are
you
you
an
trying out?
example.
No,
Let me
don't
give
give me
you
an
an
example.
example.
Give me an explanation.
You
What's
brought up. I'm gonna give you an example by bringing up something else that you brought up earlier. ICE and rounding up people and sending them back home. Now, why do
their
you think we're
homes in
doing?
America, by the way? It's not very
What's
Christian,
that?
is it? So this is actually why. So I mentioned ICE, yeah, because the Trump administration claims that it wants to put Christian values back. Well, love my neighbor is pretty much the opposite of what we're seeing with ICE, where they're essentially picking out people they think are foreign looking or sounding, grabbing off the street with masked agents, no warrant, no due process, taking them off to random camps anywhere with no
Okay.
contact to family or lawyers. It's terrible, awful, illegal.
What's
not
wrong with
at all
enforcing
what
the
Jesus would
law?
do. Sorry?
What's wrong with enforcing the law?
Well, they haven't followed the laws in many cases. But secondly, is that a
They haven't
Christian thing
what?
to do? Is that what Jesus would do? Do you
They
think,
haven't
Eric?
broken any laws. Is that what you're saying?
Is that what Jesus would do, Eric? I said no. A lot of them haven't, and even the ones that had.
If they're here,
it's a shocking way to treat it.
illegally, they broke the law.
Jesus, would he have said? Would he agree with what you've just said? Then would he be yes? Let's join ICE. Let's have masked men just running around the country, smashing stuff up and splitting up families for no reason.
Well, tell me why Jesus would not have if they broke the law.
I think it's on you to tell me why Jesus would have. Jesus says, "Love thy neighbor." Like I said, Jesus spent
That's
time
right.
with the marginalized.
But he never
and with
said.
people
He
who-
never said. He also said the wicked shall be punished.
wicked. Someone who's
Yeah,
someone
the
who just doesn't have all the paperwork on them right in that second. Someone who
Yeah.
looks foreign that they can just
No,
grab.
no.
Someone
No,
that the state have
people
just
that are
decided
here-
isn't illegal.
People that are here illegally. Now,
Why is
let
that
me tell you.
wicked?
Do you understand?
Can you
that
ask
we
can you
do
tell me why
have-
it's wicked, Eric, please?
Well, yeah, it's breaking the law.
Why is that wicked? Jesus broke laws, didn't he? Wasn't Christianity outlawed in Roman times?
No,
Was it not? Are you kidding? Did the Romans not
not
put
during
Christians to death?
Jesus' lifetime. No, it wasn't.
Romans didn't put Christians to death.
Not during Jesus' lifetime. No.
Okay. Were Christians not put to death for being Christian in Roman times?
Well, what does that have to do with anything?
Well, you just said they broke the law, right? Well, those Christians broke the law. Was it okay for them to be put to death for that? Because that was against the law.
Well, sure, that's fine. If that's what they're going to do, that's fine.
So okay, you're right. Was it? So you said a second ago, it's wicked for them.
Listen.
to be against. You
Listen
said
for a second.
wicked. No, I was talking. Just then,
I
Eric.
know,
You can talk in a
dude.
minute.
I want
Eric.
you to answer a question.
I just asked you a question. I'll answer yours when you answer mine, Eric.
See, you don't want to answer any questions. That's
I'll
the
happily
problem.
answer your question once you've answered mine, Eric.
Well, then here we go.
So
here's your question.
Brilliant. And so, are you going to listen to what I said a second ago, Eric? Right.
So you don't want to answer a question.
I'm happy to answer your question, Eric, but I was just talking then, right? So let me finish, and then I'll happily answer yours. All right. You said
I just told you I was going to bring it back to it, bring our conversation back with another example, and you're not letting me bring out my example. Now, hold on just a minute. Do you realize that we do have immigration laws that allow people to immigrate here to America lawfully?
Yes, which
okay. Now, do you realize
take ages?
Do you realize that all nations have immigration laws?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you know why we have immigration laws?
Why do we have immigration laws, Eric?
Do you know why we have immigration laws? Or are you just going to be flippant and pretend you know?
I wouldn't say I'm being flippant. The question was implied, but you're going to maybe answer. Immigration laws exist because states are very fussy about borders and their national populations and such.
Because why?
States are very fussy with their keeping track of who is in and out of their country.
Is that all it is? You see, that's another reason we don't want your side in office. Let me tell you a little bit about immigration. A country can only take so much immigration per year. A country can only take, listen to this. In this country, in America right now, we have 23 veterans a day that are committing suicide.
You've got terrible healthcare. You don't look after your elderly.
Listen to me. Don't tell me what we've got in this nation, son. I'm a veteran. In this country, we have 23 veterans a day that are committing suicide. We have thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of men that have been veterans that are living on the streets. They don't have a home. And yet we have the Democrats, your side, the far left, that just opened up, the far left. While they were in office, they just opened up the borders. Okay, they just opened up the borders. No. And they said, come on in. We had millions of people every month flooding across those borders, coming into this country, Eric. And being flown. Hold on, listen to me. Being flown from one end of the country to the other. Cities all across the nation, just dumping them there. Now, and you know what they were doing? They were taking them to the conservative states. And then they were telling them to vote Democrat. Yeah.
Just absolutely, none of this is true, Eric. Right, okay.
No, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me.
Do you not pause what
Don't interrupt me.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, all of this has happened. So what's happening is, not only are they coming over here and getting, each person getting thousands of dollars worth of money, health care, food stamps, everything. Medical assistance. Yes, they are. Don't shake your head no to me, son. They're getting each.
Hello? You still there, Eric?
So what they're doing...
Eric, the last minute or so just cut out then.
So what they're doing...
I didn't hear what
they're bringing thousands of people across, illegally. They're letting them come in illegally. Then they're spreading them around to all the cities, especially the right-wing states, the conservative states. And they're outnumbering the conservative population with people that they're allowing in illegally and then telling them to vote for them. They're also making sure that they don't have to use identification to vote, because by law they have to be a citizen to vote. But if they don't have to show their ID, you don't know they're a citizen. So that's exactly what they've done to outvote the conservatives in America and to take our money. the money that we should be using to help Americans. That
Okay,
we have
Eric.
people, dude. We have people living on the streets in this country.
Okay. So all of that was conspiratorial rubbish that is not true. There's no millions flooding across the border. There's no like invasion of conservative states. None of this happened, right? None of this is all just like the same right-wing nonsense that you got from the trans panic stuff earlier, right? It's very interesting that you said that you're a veteran. Hello?
I apologize, guys, for off and on breaks here. Having a problem, fortunately. But
yes,
yes,
I tried to say a minute ago, Eric, your internet is you were frozen for like a few seconds earlier.
That's okay. But the point
Okay.
is, Owen, this is why we voted people out from the left.
That is
We voted
not
them out of office.
okay. Look, we'll come on to that in a minute because that is also not quite accurate. But it's very interesting that you say.
What do you think is not accurate?
I'm just going to reply to what you said a second ago, Eric, because you spoke for a bit. I'm going to respond to what you said. Okay. You said you're a veteran, right? And you lots of veterans are having mental health issues and on the streets and stuff. I agree. It needs sorting out. You have billionaire companies and corporations that don't pay tax. You have the biggest wealth disparity of most of the major nations on the planet. You have a government which is actively defunding programs that would help them, which, by the way, are mostly started by left-wing causes. And I mean, Democrats aren't left-wing, but they're certainly ones doing more for them than Republicans. But just saying, like, there's a clear area that it needs addressing if you wanted to actually help these problems, and it's not going after immigrants who are working hard and helping your country and making out and part of a society as well and shouldn't be being persecuted by ICE, right? You're going after people who
So you don't understand
You're
basic
interrupting, Eric.
economics,
Eric, you're interrupting. I'm going to keep responding.
Yes, I'm interrupting because you don't understand.
Don't interrupt, Eric.
You don't understand basic economics.
I could say that about you. You're going to let me finish.
You're pretending like basic economics.
If you interrupt, Eric, how are you going to know what I've said? Now, the homeless people are being targeted by right-wing governments right now. I mean, look at what's going on in the Trump's administration. They're targeting the homeless. They're targeting people who don't have anything. They're getting them into prison. So how can you say? How are
they targeting? Where are they targeting the homeless?
They're signing in laws right now, making it harder to exist in public space and making it harder to access resources in every.
What law?
Sorry.
You're just making this up.
Anti-vagrancy laws.
Where do you live?
Sorry.
Where do you live, Owen?
So I live in the United Kingdom, UK, Britain. Now, the fact that this is happening is independent of immigrants who come to the US because
hold on. You don't. If you're living in the UK, how do you know what's happening here in the US?
Well, that's very.
Why are you telling me that? You see, I live in the USA, and I'm telling you things that are happening here and now.
Well, as you interpret them.
You keep saying, no, they're not.
Yeah.
For instance, I told you that we have problems with boys going into girls' bathrooms and then showing themselves and assaulting these girls. And you keep saying, no, we don't. Well, everybody's sitting there.
That's not actually a thing that's happening.
Everybody sitting there in chat knows that you don't have the slightest idea what you're talking about.
This is absurd.
And that what I'm saying is true. They know
who is in your chat right now? I mean, this is your own people that you know, right? So what kind of proof is that? That's not. It's like, I mean,
so now you're insulting.
I happily
now you're insulting my friends sitting in chat.
No, I'm not insulting him, Derek. But they're obviously going to share the same viewpoint as you. So it's no like if this had been the other way around.
They're Americans, dude. They are Americans who voted for Trump.
Eric, there's Americans that agree with me. So then, how is this of any value?
Well, it's only the left wing.
Well, it's only the right wing.
The left wing nuts. They would agree with you.
They don't agree with you.
Left wing nuts that don't know the difference between a man and a woman. That would agree with you.
Right wing nuts who don't know what science is. Like we could just do this all day, Eric.
Well,
this isn't.
What do you want to? Okay, you want to bet who has science behind them?
Yes, the one who's got peer-reviewed science. What were we saying earlier?
Are you an atheist?
Sorry, am I an atheist?
Yes.
Somewhere between that and agnostic. I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, atheism. I wouldn't say like I'm an ardent. Oh yes, I hate religion. I would never say that. I wouldn't say that I particularly subscribe to any religion of such. So yeah, I'd probably say that I fit into the atheist side of things. But I think that to me, what's more important is what you do in your life to
Okay,
help people and to
why
be
are
a
you
good
atheist?
person.
If you don't mind me asking, why?
So why?
Yes.
I don't find the religious theories and such particularly compelling. But as I've said, I'm not really that fussed. Like if one day someone showed me indisputable proof that everything that that God was real, it would change nothing in my life. Like I would still act exactly the same way because I believe in what we do now in the here and now. Like me and you, right? We as human beings on this planet have a power to make things better.
Well,
It
let's
doesn't
see what you
matter
think
what.
about science. What do you think of abiogenesis and evolution?
Sorry,
Abiogenesis
an evolution was that the last bit you said?
and evolution, yes.
I follow peer-reviewed scientific theories, so yes, evolution's fine. Can we come on to that in a second, so we can finish
Well,
what we were saying
yeah,
a minute
yeah, but
ago about?
we're going to examine how much
Can
you
we
love.
examine that in a minute, please, Eric? Because I hadn't quite finished what I was saying a minute ago. You cut
Oh,
me off
hold on,
earlier.
just a second.
So that's what I'm
Hold on,
saying. Let's
hold
hold
on,
on
just
and
a
go back to
second.
what we were saying.
We
Eric,
can
do
go
you hear what I
back to
said?
it. We can go back to it, but we're going to take a little detour here. Okay,
Well,
so
can we not take that detour for a minute, Eric?
you believe in
Eric, because we
abiogenesis and evolution, right?
Eric, can we not take that detour just for a second because we haven't
Why?
actually
Because we're
finished?
examining your science.
Sorry, no,
Okay.
because we haven't finished what we were saying. There was also
Okay.
that
Well, I'm
internet
making a
course.
point here, Owen.
Make
So
it
bear
quick
with
then, so you
me.
can get back, Eric. Yeah.
Bear with me.
Average of
Okay. Now,
things.
you believe in abiogenesis. You believe in evolution, and you believe that over God created, right?
Sorry.
You believe in abiogenesis and evolution instead of God created. Is that correct?
I mean, that's what the scientists say, right? That's what's
That's
contemporary
that's what
understood.
is that what science says though?
Yes, it's what the
That's what.
scientific understood
Okay.
theory is. I'm not really fussed about this side of the like.
Okay. Well,
I'm not here to.
we're
If you
gonna
don't
see
believe that,
how much you love science here, dude. You keep pulling science on me. I'm gonna pull it on you. Okay. Just show you don't know nothing about science.
okay,
Okay.
Eric.
Now, why do you believe in abiogenesis?
Sorry.
On what evidence do you believe in abiogenesis?
The what the scientific reviews have said, science peer-reviewed stuff.
Okay, and what scientific thing leads you to believe that abiogenesis has occurred?
What do you mean? What scientific thing?
Well, what observation? What
Whatever the
testing?
scientists have said. I
What
have it on
testing?
me right now.
So,
The scientific observations that biologists, geneticists, and such have made.
okay, well, let me give those to you. Nobody has ever observed abiogenesis occurring.
Obviously, they have, Eric, because
No. Okay, pull it up for me.
I'm not here to have this argument. I'm
Pull
not
it up for me.
like a
No,
biologist,
I'm not
Eric. I
going to
don't.
take your flippant little. Obviously, they have. No, I want you to pull something. I'm going to tell you something right now.
What are you gonna tell
Nobody
me,
has
Eric?
ever observed abiogenesis in a laboratory or in nature. Nobody's been able to reproduce abiogenesis. Do you know what abiogenesis is?
Why don't you tell me, Eric?
Well, I will because I don't believe you know. Abiogenesis is the theory that life evolved on its own. Cells evolved, and living cells evolved eventually back sometime billions and billions of years ago. That's the theory. The only problem is you've got to test that theory. So we look for things, we look for cells that evolve, and no cells have ever been observed evolving. None. From scratch, none, zero. And then we try to produce it in a laboratory. We have never produced a living cell in a laboratory. There's been lots of people that said they have, but they haven't. The one thing that Craig Venter was able to do was he took a living E. coli bacteria cell and he extracted the DNA and uh, injected a type of DNA, and it began to reproduce. And a lot of people said, well, he just created a cell from scratch. But he went on to BBC and CNN saying, no, no, no. I started with a living cell. I did not create that living cell. I just replaced its DNA. Nobody has ever created a living cell. Nobody. And yet you believe in abiogenesis by blind faith. Every attempt to create a cell has failed. Every single one. Every single one. We know all the building blocks to life. We can pack them up. We can create any environment that we want to create in the laboratory. But we can't create life.
It's a process, though, isn't it? The theory suggests that it takes time, doesn't it? It's not like it's you don't just like snap your fingers and life is created.
Well, somewhere evidently somebody snapped their fingers, and they say the fingers were snapped and it created sometime in the past.
Such, right?
No, you're just using an excuse now. You see, you believing in abiogenesis and blind faith in spite of the scientific failure of abiogenesis. And now,
Eric,
let's look at evolution. Okay, Eric, evolution. Hold on, you're going to have to bear with me a minute. Evolution is the same thing. Evolution is a bunch of statements that you believe in blind faith. You say there's all kinds of evidence for evolution. What is your evidence for evolution? Can you name me 2 or 3 things that you consider evidence for evolution?
Sorry, you cut out then.
Can you mention anything at all that you consider evidence for evolution? Or do you just believe in it in blind faith too?
Sorry?
Do you just believe in evolution in blind faith too, despite...
I follow what peer-reviewed scientific journals have said, Eric.
And what have they said?
Sorry?
And what is their evidence for evolution?
Traits get passed on from person to person, creature to creature and such. With different world around us. But Eric, look, I'm not.
If you pass on traits to your child,
Eric, I'm not a biologist. I would have to, for me to go back to my biology days and give a proper full account of the evolutionary stuff. I would actually have to go and read the studies again that I read when I was younger.
Let me tell you, you can't.
So I'm not. That wouldn't sound rude, Eric. I'm not.
Well, I talk to people that are steeped.
I'm not. This wasn't what I wanted to chat about as such. I'm not really fussed.
We'll get back to what you're talking about because this is all to make a point.
What point?
This is all to make a point that you don't know the science of anything you believe in.
No, I do, though, don't I? Because it's
no, you don't. You don't know the science of anything
we observe
in the
natural world.
You don't know the science of and you don't know national economics. You don't know economics.
Where's this coming from?
That's right. Just like you don't know the science of economics. A nation can only take...
What? We were just talking about nature.
Yeah, and I'm trying to prove a point that you don't understand. That you don't understand the science between biology. You don't understand the science behind evolution. You don't understand the science behind abiogenesis. You don't understand the science behind political science and economics and how much a nation can stand.
Eric.
You see, you're sitting there you're sitting there saying that we have the capacity to take in all of these extra millions of illegals. This is on top of the people
That's such a curious word for it, isn't it?
Hold on. This is on top of the people that migrated here legally. That's why I'm using that word, illegal.
Would not call someone an illegal, would they, Eric? Would he?
Dude, Jesus told us to obey the laws
of God.
Not
the
just God. No. He told us to obey
Jesus
the law.
Said, "Love thy neighbor." All of God's creations should be loved. So why would Jesus start calling people illegals?
What?
So
it's not my job to hate the illegals. I can love them and send them back home.
Why on earth would Jesus, who explicitly said, "Love thy neighbor"?
See, you don't understand.
You're interrupting, Eric. Why would he accept that? Why would he?
I'm pointing out that you don't understand economics.
That is not true and has nothing to do with what we said.
Of course, it's true.
Why would
We
Jesus
take in what?
you said at the
What
start
do
of
you
this that
think are?
you
What
are
do
a
you think
Christian.
are?
You believe in the idea of love
Why do
and
you
peace
think?
to all.
Why do you
How
think our
could you
laws?
justify that with what you said just then?
See, you don't want to have a conversation, Owen.
You're not responding to what I've said. I've asked you several times now. How Jesus would not have said what you just said about living human
What?
beings. He wouldn't
What?
have called them illegals for one. He wouldn't have,
He wouldn't have called them illegals.
subjected them. No, he
If
wouldn't
they
have
were
done.
here illegally, he would call them
He
illegals.
do you okay? So then let's go back to what we said a minute ago. Christians were once considered an illegal state to be in
So
the Roman Empire.
now, why?
So
Why should
they
we not?
disobeyed the law.
Hold
Should they
on,
have
hold
also
on,
been
hold on.
treated how
I
you
want to
said?
ask you a question. Why are you saying we should not
You just
call
dodged it again.
illegal aliens illegals?
I've asked you, would Jesus be okay with your action there?
I think so. Yes.
You think he would? So then,
Yes.
we've just gone back to Roman Britain.
So
Roman
why?
Empire.
Why? I ask you
We've
one
gone
more
back to the Roman
time.
Empire now.
I ask you again,
The
Owen.
Christians
Come on.
then were
Let's have.
the Christians
Come on,
then,
Owen.
Eric.
Calm
We're on a
down.
thread here, Eric.
Don't make me. Don't make me. Tell me why I should not call an illegal alien an illegal.
Sorry, we'll come on to We'll come on to that question.
No, I want an answer to that question
thread.
right now.
I've been waiting. I've been trying to ask you this for quite a bit of time now.
We'll come back to that right after you answer this. Why should I not call an illegal alien an illegal alien?
Because it's a horrible thing and a wrong thing to do. Now we're going to my one.
Okay.
Jesus.
Is it a wrong thing to call a thief a thief?
My turn now. I thought we were doing Tate.
Hold on.
Now, right?
Hold on.
No, it's not. Hold on. It's my turn.
Hold
now.
on.
Jesus,
dude, don't make me mute you.
Are you kidding,
hold on.
Eric?
No, I'm not kidding. We're going to have an organized and orderly
Eric.
Conversation. Okay, it's
I've
not
been
you
to
run the
with
show.
For some time.
I will come to your show and you can treat me any way you like. But I mean that. But I'm asking you right now to answer my question. Why should I not call an illegal alien an illegal alien? Should I not call a thief a thief? Should I not call a rapist?
Done, Eric?
Are you going to call a rapist? Are you going to tell me I'm wrong for calling a rapist a rapist?
Why would Jesus have done what you've just said?
Why?
Christians believe that everyone is the creation of God. Jesus said, love thy neighbor, treat all with respect and love.
He also called people thieves.
Okay, that has nothing to do with the law that has been
if they are illegal, they are illegal, dude. He called people thieves.
So for Christians,
he called people robbers.
Let's go back then.
He called people
drunkards. Said a few times now, Eric. Let's go back to what I've said a few times. The Roman Empire said that Christianity was banned. They banned
So you're not going to answer my question, are you?
Oh, right, okay. I literally just did, Eric. So now you're going to answer mine now, Eric.
How did you answer my question?
I said it was what would Jesus have done?
That's not answering my question.
What was your question, Eric?
My question is, why should I not be able to call a thief, a drunkard, a rapist, or an illegal alien an illegal alien?
I mean, it's grotesque that you compare those things in the first place. People are not illegal; they're not aliens. You should have more respect for people.
If they are aliens, and they are here illegally, yes, they are illegal aliens. Because we have...
they're not.
Hold on. We have aliens in this nation that are not illegal aliens. They are here legally. We have people...
I've answered your question now, by the way. So now you're going to come back to mine. Christians...
No, dude. Not until you acknowledge this.
Acknowledge what?
There is a difference.
Eric?
Do you know that there is a difference between illegal aliens and aliens that are here legally?
I'm sure the US government has a distinguishing thing. I think it's a pretty terrible one. And if you're a Christian, you should probably also agree. It's a shocking way to treat people. And
no, I don't.
The Trump administration is actively revoking legal status from people.
Now, what is the purpose of a government?
Right. That's a separate question. We're now going to go back to what I've said, Eric.
What is the purpose of a government,
Eric,
Owen?
I thought you wanted a conversation.
We do.
Yeah, so now let's go back to what
now
we said.
We've got to nail this
is the
down.
issue, Eric. No, we don't, Eric.
What do you think the purpose of a government
Eric,
is, Owen?
I'll answer that question once we've gone back to what we were saying a second ago,
Isn't the
which is directly
purpose
linked
of the
to it.
government to protect its people?
Eric,
Is it not the purpose of a government to protect its people? Yes or no,
we can
Owen?
talk about yes and no. We can talk about the full
Yes
purpose of
and
the
no.
government.
It's not the
Well,
government's duty
it's
to
more
protect
complex
its
than a
people.
yes and no answer, isn't it? Now, let's get back to what we're saying.
No, no.
The Roman
How do you
Empire,
feel it is
Eric.
not the duty of a government to protect its people?
Sorry?
How do you feel it is not the duty of a government to protect its people?
Depends on what you view the government as, its role as being, its creation, its status in society.
The
Now,
people who voted
it's
this
more
government,
complex.
the people who have voted this government into effect, okay? It is
So
their
what?
duty
Less than
to, it is their
25% of the
duty.
country.
What do they swear to do? Oh, you don't know because you're not from this country. They swear
Don't need
to
to be from
uphold,
America
hold on.
to know.
They swear
Eric.
to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and to defend the people of the United States of America. That is
Doing a
what they
good job by
swear to
turning
do.
their own ice on it, aren't they?
They are sworn in, Owen, and we take that very seriously. Now, because it's their duty to protect the people of the United States of America, it's a very complicated issue. They have to look forward and always try to figure out how we can grow, of course, economically. But we've also got to know what our limits are. We've got to know what we can and cannot do. Are we expecting to economically grow? Well, then we need to have this much infrastructure. We need to have this much tax money set back. We need to have this type of growth going forward. Now, we take those numbers and we see how many people we can bring in at different times of the year from other countries to work here legally. Okay, legally. And now this is bringing in non-citizens, allowing them to come in. Some of them allowing some of them to become citizens of the United States, new citizens, and some are just here on temporary visas so they can work, but they're here legally because we know how many we can bring in without hurting our own, without taking away from our own.
No.
But every time you bring in more than that, then you're infringing on the bread of the children of this nation. And you're giving it to people.
No, I'm sorry.
You're giving it to people that ain't from here, dude. Now, so if you don't understand that,
it's more unchristian statements, though, isn't it?
You don't understand economics.
Done, Eric.
That's not an unchristian statement. That's a
is.
statement proving that you don't know anything about economics.
I mean, it really isn't, Eric. The Roman Empire called Christians illegal. Should they have faced this up for sanctions?
So you think we can just take in how many millions?
I'd like you to answer the question you've
been asked. Infinitely?
The American government decided those people you described, the non-citizens and such, the American government decided were illegal, right? They've broken the law. Does that justify the treatment they've received?
If we have the laws that say, if you want to enter this nation, this is how you do it, and people bypass that and jump the fence, they are here illegally.
Yeah, the Roman government said you got to follow our way of life, otherwise you've bypassed the law. You're here existing illegally. Is that okay?
What's your point?
My point is that just because something is illegal doesn't make it right. The Christian should not have been put to death for being Christian. The immigrants should not be being treated like dogs and cattle and stuff and rounded up by ICE as we're seeing now.
Okay.
It's simple as that.
How many millions do you think we should just let walk through?
Sorry, how did America start, Eric, by the way?
How many millions do you think we should just let walk through?
Sorry, millions aren't walking through now, but the fact
because we shut the door.
Eric, I'm trying to answer your question and you're just speaking over me. You need to stop.
I'm just asking you.
We're going to examine. You did just ask me, and then I tried to answer, Eric, and then you cut me off.
Well, how many millions of people is enough?
Sorry?
How many millions of people is it enough before you quit saying we're back?
America's a very big country, Eric. You've got a lot of space. Maybe if America didn't hoard resources and steal them from other places around the world, you wouldn't have as many people coming. People have the freedom to move where they like. It's silly that states try and put sanctions on people for trying to better their lives. And you, as a Christian, should want to help people, as that's what Jesus did.
What happens if you
Jesus,
enter Russia illegally?
sorry, Russia
What?
is also a state with very bad right-wing laws. I'm not going
Okay.
to sit and
What
defend
happens if you
Russia.
enter
I think it's
Mexico
related too.
What happens if you enter Mexico illegally?
Sorry, similar, similar sanctions. Right-wing states, people have states.
Mexico
They
is
all
not a
have various
right-wing state.
policies. Of course, it is. You are
No, it's
quite
not.
right-wing, Eric. So I must be imagining it quite a bit difficult to imagine. They're all capitalist free market countries. They all have borders and police forces. They all rely on
Man,
capitalist economics to float. They're all right wing.
you're
Some are more than others, but they're all right wing.
your your blindness is unbelievable, dude.
I mean,
It
I've
really
told you
is.
why they're right wing. They're all capitalist economies. They're all varying degrees of free market economics. They're all right wing.
So how many
Mexico,
millions of
Russia.
people? Yeah.
So we're
So
just
you don't
moving
believe
far.
we should?
Okay.
You think we should just open the door and let anybody in?
Sorry, I think that the world needs to rethink how it manages itself, where we have little state disputes
So we
and
had
borders and
caravans.
such. And
We
you
do
did
you
not have caravans, and you did not have an immigration problem. You were
look
told
at
that by
this?
a nationalist, xenophobic movement, MAGA, Trump, but you don't have a problem. You have right-wing conspiracy theories, which have been around for
Dude,
centuries.
we had police in Texas and all the border states that were trying to fight this illegal immigration,
Yes, because
and
the governor of Texas
they
is a
were coming in
deluded
by the
racist, Eric.
millions.
They were not
They,
coming in by the millions. Come on.
yes, they were coming in by the millions.
They
And
weren't. And even if they were, by the way, how did America start? Your your ancestors did the same thing. Came to America and did what they wanted. So there's no, where do you draw the line? Where's the line being drawn for what is illegal and not? It's all just arbitrary. The better idea, the better way of doing things is to move on from all of this, to move on from petty nationalisms and racism and bigotry, and, as Jesus might have done,
so you don't
love
even
thy
want to have a
neighbour.
country.
Sorry?
You don't even want a country. You don't want a sovereign country.
Well, and at the end of the day, do we really, really have that much different? Like,
You want to
could we?
remove everybody's sovereignty. Wow.
Do you have sovereignty now? You were telling me earlier that veterans are being left on the street and stuff, and
Do you know what
no
sovereignty
healthcare,
is?
no. Sorry,
Do you know what sovereignty is?
the freedom to act and exist, right? To
Yeah.
the independence and such, right? Do you have
Yeah,
that
and
now?
when our country doesn't even have enough money to take care of its veterans
Yeah,
because
because
we're too busy, because we're
you have
too busy
incredible wealth.
because we are taking care of too
Inequality.
many illegal aliens,
Because you
dude.
have shocking wealth inequality. You don't tax your rich. You let corporations do what they like. Amazon and such companies like Amazon pay no tax or next to no tax. You have billionaires wealthier than pharaohs. That's why you don't have enough for other stuff. Your government's cutting all your federal programs.
Uh,
It's true. Like
in favor of what?
of ICE, they spent billions on ICE, and you don't have healthcare. Like
No,
it's
no,
obvious where
no.
your problem is.
We spent our money that we should have been spending on our veterans and
On ICE, on the
our
military.
starving people.
Yeah, you wasted the government, right-wing government, wastes money on military and ICE and policing when it should be looking after education and healthcare and stuff and veterans and all the people who need. Society doesn't function unless you actually help people in society, which
Well,
right-wing governments don't want to do.
the one thing that we know for a fact is that what you propose, when you put it in action and the conservatives small end. But
I think your audio is cutting
when
out
we
again, Rick. I
practice,
didn't hear that.
when we practice what you preach, and we start taking these illegals and we put them in California and we put them in New York City, they say, "Get
Say what? You're not.
calling for
Your
it."
audio is cutting out, Eric. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
No, your audio keeps you'll be speaking and then it just stops. I don't know if your chat can hear it, but
Well, when it comes right down to it,
I don't even know what. I'm sure Eric can still hear me, but I'm maybe the chat is seeing stuff. It looks like it's frozen on the chat as well at the moment. Perhaps who's in the chat currently? If you watching, Eric will unfreeze in a minute. Internet access, that's another thing the government could do if it didn't spend its money on ice. Proper internet access for everyone in America. I'll put something in the chat. So now Eric's got a loading screen on his little window there. But who knows what will come of it, because I'm not sure what will actually happen. I'm not sure how my internet is still running, if Eric's is not, but apparently so. I may as well chat to the chat. Let's have a look at what's in there. Terry Strange says, I need to repent. Well, it's fun. Let's talk about Christianity, right? Jesus said, love thy neighbor. Oh, he's just gone completely. Is the chat even still, is the video still on? I wonder. This great view, this must be it. It says it was still alive. Okay. I'll wait for this to... Yeah, okay, it is still on. Right. So yeah, I'll wait for Eric to come
There
back.
we go.
Here we are. All working now?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
Okay, so where are we?
We're talking about immigration and Christianity and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like,
you see, a nation can only handle so much, so many people. An infrastructure can only handle so many. That's
Eric,
what it's designed to do.
Eric, that your nation has so much. You have so many resources, so much money, so much land, but it's been controlled so disproportionately by extremely wealthy corporations and individuals that then have causes which tell you, oh, look at these immigrants who are on like minimum wage. You know, they're the issue. If you addressed the big money pile at the top and made that equitable and accessible to everyone, then you could solve your homelessness.
That's part of not understanding of finance again. Don't you understand that you do need some people who are going to be entrepreneurs, that are going to begin new businesses?
You can have the qualities of the business mindset and entrepreneurialism without also exploiting the workers of the country by paying them pennies whilst you make billions.
You can't have entrepreneurs.
It's not even particularly radical. You could just tax your corporations a bit more, and you'd have so much money to fund your healthcare and such.
Yes.
You could.
You don't understand how corporations are drawn to a city, do you?
That doesn't change what I've said.
Yeah, of course it changes what you said. Because we have to compete for corporations to come to your city.
Is that what they said? Is it those corporations?
That's not just what they say. That's the practice, son. If you don't know that, you're extremely naive. That's the part.
There's no way you can't tell me that a person like Elon Musk, who is on his way to becoming a trillionaire, couldn't lose some of that money through a bit more tax and such.
Why do you think he left Los Angeles? Why do you think that he moved? Why do you think he took Tesla, SpaceX, etc.? All of these companies that he has, and moved them from the Los Angeles offices to Texas.
Where did he move to?
He moved to Texas.
So
why do you think he did
that? He's a billionaire. He wants to.
Why do you think he did that?
So he can make more money. So he can be richer.
He did that because
fewer regulations.
No, I'm going to tell you exactly why he did it. He did it for two reasons, and you look it up at yourself. First of all, they were taxing him left and right, and yeah, they were taxing and then spending it on things that he was dead set against. For instance, the California school system called him and told him that
he's got a really bad relationship. He's not a very good parent, Elon.
Yeah.
That's probably why the schools were.
The California school system called him, and he says, "Look, your oldest son is a trans." And
They wouldn't have said it like that, would they? Because they actually have some
will
sensibility
you
and
quit
basic grammar.
interrupting me?
Like you were earlier, Eric.
He said, your son is trans and he has to have the medical, reaffirming medical stuff, procedures done so that he will not commit suicide. And if he doesn't get this attention,
So
he's
yes,
going to
yes.
commit suicide.
Elon's a deadbeat dad and a transphobe, and that's
So,
what he said.
so, yeah,
His
you can say
daughter,
that all you like, but this
which
is
is
why
true.
we voted your side out of office.
You keep saying that, but
That's
didn't.
right.
Like
Because
my
this was
side
a
as well.
school system telling him that they would take away his son if they didn't allow him, and that his son would commit suicide if he didn't get medical reaffirming care.
This is quite embarrassing, Eric.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. So he allowed his son to have that reaffirming care, and
As
what it
scientifically
did,
proven, yes.
what it
She's
did,
much happier.
scientifically
She's a happier
proven.
person. She's a happier person now that she's
He
away
is
from
not a
Elon.
happier person.
She is a happier
Wow.
person, Elon.
You don't even know he's
Happier,
a guy,
healthier.
dude. That's
You have
pretty
never
sad.
even met her, Eric. So
Yeah.
how would you know? It's embarrassing.
You don't
Now,
even know he's a guy.
Elon
So,
Musk chose
all
to
he is,
tank
he's not a
his
girl.
reputation.
He is a
Yep, you keep
disfigured
telling
man.
yourself that, Eric.
They have
Reality
mutilated the man's
exists.
genitals. That's what happened.
What are you talking about, Eric?
That's right. He's mutilated now.
You're in bed with many conspiracies, and they have really
What?
affected your mind.
You
You're
think
not
he's a
acting in a very
woman now?
Jesus loves all, Eric.
You think he's a
Jesus doesn't
woman? Do you
discriminate.
really think he's a woman?
Sorry,
Do you really think Elon Musk's
it's none of
son
our
is a woman?
business. She
Do
says
you
she is,
really?
so she is.
Let me tell you something. Back in the day, you know,
I don't
if somebody
care
came
about back
along
in the
and they
day.
said,
Like back,
if somebody came along and said, I'm
back in the
Napoleon
day.
or I'm the Queen of England, back in the day, we never would have reaffirmed that.
What was
That,
your day?
that would
Eric?
have been
I thought you were
considered.
marching for women's rights.
That
I
would
thought
have
you were
been.
like.
See, you can't be serious.
Is this a serious conversation?
Yeah. When
So-
you back the delusions of a deluded person, you're hurting that person. You're not helping that person.
Yeah, Elon really.
If
is
somebody
fucking
if somebody came up to you and really thought that they were the Queen of England, and you started acting like, yeah, okay, and you start in public, behold, the Queen of England. People like me would think that's horrible, that you would mock such a person or reinforce their delusion.
I don't think you're the best.
I've
judge of
met
character,
deluded
to be
people,
honest,
dude.
Eric. I mean,
I've met deluded people. I've seen people that thought spirits were speaking to them. Now, what if I back their delusion? Am I a good person for backing their delusion? No, I'm not. These people are deluded. Okay?
Don't spirits speak?
You can't become a woman.
Do you think it's a bit
And anybody
rich
that
to,
thinks that they can become a woman is deluded. Period.
Do you think it's a bit rich?
A
to
nation
mock
can only
people who
take so
believe-
many. A nation can only take so many immigrants.
How can
And
you
if-
even believe that? Like,
You
seriously.
You think, although I can't get you to say it, you think that we should just leave the door open and let as many millions of people flood the United States as is possible. As many as would like should just flood us.
Did Jesus not
It doesn't
feed
matter.
thousands?
It
Eric?
doesn't matter if
Did
half
Jesus
of them
not
want
feed
to.
the thousands?
It doesn't matter if they want to destroy us. It doesn't matter if
Destroy
most of
you?
them want us. Yes,
Just,
Yeah.
What is this? Destroy
because
you.
we have caught Chinese coming in over the border. We've caught Middle Eastern. Yes, I don't like. Look at you
Were
shake
your
your
ancestors
head, no.
destroying the indigenous populations?
You
of
don't
America?
live here at all. You don't know what happens here, and you're telling us that these things don't happen here when we see it every day.
Yeah. Did Jesus not feed the thousands, Eric? You said we can't take him in. Well, Jesus did. Jesus helped the thousands. Well, on the hilltop, he fed from one basket.
We feed all the nations in the world, dude. Anytime they need help.
No, you don't. You privatize their land. You get one of your corporations to put a little factory there and say,
So should we
give
put
us a loan.
thieves in jail?
Sorry?
Should we put thieves in jail?
That isn't answering the question, Eric. I thought you liked conversations.
No,
Jesus
should
fed
we
the
or should we
thousands on
not?
the hilltop. Jesus
Should
fed
we
the
put
thousands.
thieves in jail? Yes or no?
Sorry?
Should we punish thieves for stealing?
Should we feed the thousands like Jesus did?
So you're not going to answer.
I'll
Yes,
answer
we
after.
should.
I went first last time, Eric. I think it's your turn to answer mine first now.
Of course,
Right?
and I told you we feed millions. We feed all the countries
So,
in the
so
world.
you should feed like Jesus did, right? Is that a yes?
That doesn't mean that you let yourself be used either, does it? Do you
I
let
mean,
people do you let people steal from you?
they weren't stealing. Jesus chose to feed them.
Yes, because he could produce that food out of anywhere.
No, America's a big country. You can produce that
We
food from
can't
anywhere.
produce
You
that
can work
food out of
together.
anywhere, dude.
And it's not
We
we
have to
either.
we have to
It's your
grow it and buy it.
corporations that control your country. Like it's not we. It's
We
like
have to
5 or
grow
6
it and buy it.
corporations, isn't it? Like Walmart and stuff, right? So the idea that it's we is a bit of a mystery.
How old are you, Owen?
So I'm 27 years old.
You're 27, so you don't know anything about life.
We're going into this one. No?
Well, you don't. You don't. You
Why
prove
don't-
it in
why don't
everything
I?
you
So
say.
your age. So I had to find one person older than you, Eric, and then that argument falls apart, right? How old are you, Eric? Oh, 58, you said, right? So what?
No, I'm 67.
67. So I find one 68-year-old who agrees with me.
I
and
don't
then
care.
What happens
You
then?
see, my stances prove that I know what I'm talking about. I've been
According
around.
to you.
I understand the economy. I understand economics.
I'm
You
sure you do.
evidently don't. You
Yep.
think that a nation can just take whatever comes in. You think that every illegal that comes in here
That word
loves
again,
this country.
illegal. Jesus would not approve. Jesus said,
What?
"Love all."
I don't think you have the slightest idea of what Jesus would approve of. I
Did
think that
Jesus
you want
not
to
say
use
love
that
thy
as a
neighbor?
game.
Did Jesus not feed him? Did Jesus not spend his last day on earth, his last night, with the people in prison praying?
No,
He didn't. He didn't. He did what? So we're just. So he didn't spend a night in prison praying with the prisoners.
no. You don't know anything about anything, do you?
So what
Look
was
at all
his
the
last night
stuff you
spent
just
doing?
assume.
He said you're a sinner. What did he do?
Look, look at all
Last
the.
night on earth in prison.
He, he wasn't in prison the night
He
before.
wasn't kept. He wasn't held before his crucifixion. He wasn't like incarcerated for that night.
Well, where was he? What? Show me where you did all this stuff with praying with the prisoners. Show me where you
Sorry, he
did
was
all
with the
that.
prisoners. He was with the prisoners.
You're
and he
talking
prayed.
about the day he was arrested.
Then so obviously he was crucified. The night before he spent with prisoners and he prayed with them.
Where?
Between where?
Show me that chapter and verse, dude.
Don't know the exact chapter and verse, but it happened.
Show me where.
You tell me.
Look
I
it up.
can't
You
recite
Google it.
Bible verses off the top of my head. But
No,
Google
that
it,
never
did you say?
happened
Okay,
either.
let's Google it. Yeah, let's
See,
Google it.
you think you know
All right.
the Bible and you don't. You think you know our economics and you don't. You think you know our women's sports and you don't.
What on earth are you talking about?
And you sit there and
Just
laugh like we're the
100%.
fools.
Sorry? Well, this is quite a humorous conversation, to be honest, and some of the stuff you've been saying.
It is if you
comical.
have no mind, I imagine.
No mind.
If you think you know everything, sure.
I've never said I know everything.
So you have no chapter and verse where Jesus prayed
As
all
I've
night
said,
with
I
the
don't know
captain.
the exact chapter and verse, but
That's
just
because it's
100%.
not there at all, dude.
Yvonne, it is. I mean, you could also, as you know, I think his last night playing with prisoners, and had spent time prior to that as well with the people who were marginalised and stuff.
Oh yeah. What prisoners did he pray with?
Who was in prison with him at the time?
Who?
I don't know her exact name.
Jesus wasn't imprisoned with anybody. I have a person that's asking you. Can you see the screen?
Terry Strange says, "Is it loving to break the law to enter the country and undercut the citizens?" What? undercut.
You see,
Yes.
Terry, he has no
Loving.
idea of economics. He doesn't know the economics of
I'm sorry. If you're a
hundreds
Christian
of
asking
thousands
this to
and
someone,
millions of
are
people
you
coming in.
joking?
He doesn't know how the economics of millions of people entering a nation illegally. He doesn't know how
Millions.
that
And even if it
undercuts.
was, you've got enough. You've got more than enough. Divide
You
your
don't
world
even,
fairly.
so
A
just
fairly divided
take the
world
bread
with
out of my
equal.
grandbaby's mouth, man.
No, out of Elon Musk's bank account, which has billions sat, not even being used.
Elon Musk doesn't owe me a thing. My country
He
does.
stole billionaires
My my
steal
my
resources from
government. My
your
government
government, which
owes me.
is
Elon
controlled by
Musk doesn't owe me.
corporations, which is Trump, billionaire
No,
donors everywhere,
Trump doesn't owe
billionaires.
me anything except as president of the United States to look after our citizens in the United
Oh, that's
States.
pathetic, isn't it, Eric? I mean, if you're
No,
that
that's what
subservient
makes a good
to
president,
billionaires,
and
it
that's
really
why
isn't,
your
Eric.
side was removed.
He's not a good Christian either, by the way. He's a terrible man.
Who?
Donald Trump made his money from his KKK loving dad. Awful
Donald Trump never
record.
claimed to be a Christian.
News to me. News to MAGA.
No, he says make America great again. How does that make him a Christian?
So, because he's actively said, and his movement is based around Christian values, as you said earlier.
Christian values. But the man himself is not a Christian.
Great.
Christian
So
values, like
how is
yeah,
that? That's not.
like
So Christian
taking care
values,
of your
right?
own
So
country.
his values.
You see, we put
How
these
is that a
people in
Christian value?
office.
Take
We
care of
put
your
these
own. That's like
people
the
in
exact
office.
opposite. That's
Look at
shocking.
you over talking, dude. Be quiet for a minute. We put these people in office understanding they get our votes because we understand if we give them our vote, they're going to take care of the American people. And if they can't take care of the American people, they are traitors. They're traitors to their own nation. What? Look at this. Look at this arrogant laugh.
Trump tried to overthrow the last election. He's the traitor. And
What?
Jesus said, love all. So why do you only care about Americans, Eric?
What's that?
Why do you only care about Americans? Jesus said, love
We
all.
don't, dude.
But
My wife and I feed anybody that needs it.
Unless they're illegals, in which case you call ICE.
Yeah, I would feed them and
So-
send them home.
But you'd call ICE. So masked men. You know they're not feeding
I
no
would
prisoners
feed
at risk.
them and send them home
You know they're not feeding being
because they are
incarcerated in those
here
camps.
illegally.
You know,
Now, you may-
when
you may
ICE
have-
arrest them illegally,
You have no
you know-
respect at all for the law, do you?
Sorry? Unjust laws, no. Lots of laws have been terrible in the past. Slavery was once a law.
Oh, pardon me.
Jim
So
Crow was once a law.
you like the laws that says a man can go into a women's bathroom, don't you?
There's no law that says that, though, Eric. Like,
Oh,
I
yes,
can't
there are.
stress that isn't a real thing that's happening. That's not like anything to do with anything.
Yes,
I've
yes,
told you as
there-
well. If you
there
wanted
are-
to solve that, if you
There
wanted to
are
solve that
laws
issue,
that allow
Eric,
that to happen.
if you were
Those
really
are the laws
interested
that
in
you
safeguarding
respect.
children, you'd be funding schools, you'd be funding safeguarding teams, you'd be funding sex education, you'd be helping professionals, education professionals, make a proper system that could look after people and improving
Look at
on
you.
things like misogyny and abuse and
So
stuff. You
if
would
you
not be
can't-
believing trans panic stuff and transphobia and just random right-wing news sources which just tell you fake stories. Where on earth
So-
is this?
If we can't let men beat up women in women's boxing, and we can't let men...
What do you think
take
happens
away-
in boxing anyway, by the way? Like, the new sport is
Dude,
just beating people
You're
up.
going to stop interrupting me right now. So you're saying that we've got to let men take all the Olympic ribbons away from women just because they can't compete with men. So
I've
we
not
let
said
them,
that.
any law that lets them take those ribbons away from women is a good law, according to you. And any law that lets a man go into a woman's bathroom just because he says, I'm a woman, that's a good thing, no matter what he does in there, no matter how he abuses that privilege, well, not even a privilege. That's a horrible thing. So any law that just opens up the doors for millions and millions and millions of illegals to pour into a nation, stealing the bread from our very children and our grandchildren, taking what should be coming to us and doesn't. Those are good laws to you. This
No,
just
none of
shows
that's
to me.
accurate.
This shows to me that you put about as much thought into this as you have why you believe in abiogenesis and evolution. You're just ridiculous. You don't know anything about anything, Owen.
I wouldn't
You
say
don't
that's
have a
accurate,
mind that
Eric.
thinks critically.
Do
You've
you?
been brainwashed.
I've been brainwashed.
Yes, you've been brainwashed.
You
This
believe
is why
in
we kicked your
Jesus.
side out of office.
That really isn't. And by the way,
They didn't know the
yeah,
difference between a man and a woman either.
you're
They
connecting
didn't know that we
disconnected things and just
they
transferring
didn't know that
BS
our
and throwing
country
it together.
they didn't know that our country can only take so many illegals too, or
That
so many,
is
and not,
nonsense, Eric.
actually we can't take any illegals.
Was Jesus himself not illegal?
No,
He wasn't. He wasn't persecuted for acts against Roman
good
Empire.
Lord, look at you reaching up your own rear end to try to pull up something to rescue. That's ridiculous, Owen.
Christians were once illegal in the Roman Empire. Should they have been put to death?
It doesn't matter. It happened,
It
okay?
does, because you're saying, "Oh, we don't have illegals." Well, Christians are
And
once
it's going to
illegal.
happen to Christians again, but that's a totally different thing.
It's not, though, is it? So there we go. So you're. It's not about the law. It's not about whether or
That's
not it's legal or
religion,
not.
and these are nationalities. Totally different thing.
Says you.
Well, you
What
don't
makes one
think they're different? You don't
Love
think a
all.
nation is different from a religion?
They're different things, but the premise is still the same.
What's
Jesus
the
said,
premise?
"Love all."
As many
Love
people
all.
as you
Illegality
can overflow
is
the world.
something which
Hold
isn't
on,
a
dude.
proof in itself.
You can
Ask me a question,
overflow.
Eric.
You can overflow the world with Christians, and you're not changing anything. You're not taking away from anybody's stomach. But you can overflow a country with illegal aliens, and you can starve out the population.
No.
Well, yes, you can.
So it's a pig-headed way of looking at it, for one, Eric, because America's resources are not equitably distributed. You are focusing on people who are not affecting anything, whilst billionaires and corporations and far-right organizations hoard resources, and you don't say anything about it. Jesus also said it's easier for a camel to pass through a needle's eye than for a rich man to get into heaven. I want to do something about that. Eh? We're coming up to 2 hours, by the way, so we may need to wrap this one up soon.
That doesn't mean that a rich man
Doesn't
came
mean
into
what?
the kingdom of heaven.
It's
Joseph,
easier for a camel to pass through a
I
needle's eye.
understand. We also
So-
have Joseph of Arimathea, who was a Christian and a very rich man. We have Abraham, who was, I guess you could say, a Christian and a very rich man, an extremely rich man. We had Joseph, who was the grandson there, and the lineage by which Christ came. Well, no, that was Judah. But
Well,
you had
so
Joseph.
says
Joseph
what?
was the most powerful man the second most powerful man in the world.
So says what, Eric?
So says what?
Telling me that some Christians were wealthy doesn't dispute that Jesus said hoarding wealth is wrong. Jesus criticized the extreme wealth of organizations in his time because there are people starving and poor. And now here we are in America, and you've got billionaire corporations and you've got poor people, like you said earlier.
How
Why
easy
you
is
blame
it
ignorance?
for any man to inherit the kingdom of heaven?
Sorry?
How hard or easy is it for the average man to inherit the
So,
kingdom of
you're not addressing the point, Eric. You've been doing this all night. Just getting away from what we're saying.
I'm not getting away from it. I'm making a point with your
No,
point.
but that's not answering what you've been asked, is it? Like,
I did answer your question.
Your
There's
society,
been all kinds of rich men in religion and Christianity that were
Yes,
reproved
that
of
doesn't
God.
change what Jesus said.
That doesn't change what Jesus said.
Yes, so then the fact that people...
That's taking what
Exist.
Jesus said into context.
In what context is that?
In the context of the fact that he did approve of some rich people.
He did, are you kidding? He did approve of some. Outrageous.
Yes.
He approved of some. There's no way. It's just what right-wing Christians tell themselves to make themselves feel better about themselves. They've ignored what's been said. Now, I don't have to be religious to say that the thing that Jesus said was correct, that they shouldn't have massive wealth disparities.
Nicodemus, Joseph
Jason's-
of Arimathea. Quit it, dude. You don't know what you're talking about. Just
Sorry?
like you said. you don't know what you're talking about. Nicodemus, Joseph
No,
of
you know what you're talking
Arimathea,
about. Let me just say this. But one of
they
us
were
is
rich
saying
men.
stuff that, yes,
Joseph
rich
of,
people exist.
you're interrupting. Joseph of Arimathea
Only me,
was a
Jamie.
man that was contemporary with Jesus, as was Nicodemus. And these men were approved of by Jesus. Okay? They were
So
rich
says
men.
what? Says who?
Says the scriptures, says the Bible.
Which one?
Who do you think John 3:16 was said to?
Which one?
Never mind, dude.
I didn't hear what you. Okay, right, fine.
Look,
The fact that there were
you
some
pretend you
wealthy
know what's
people.
going on in this nation. You pretend you know what's going on in the Bible.
Yeah, you pretend. You pretend.
Well,
We can just keep.
that's
You
something
can
that
just.
I
You can.
read every single
Eric,
day.
you can keep saying like, "Oh, yes, you don't know," but the point remains that, and the central point of this whole thing, really, the love thy neighbor ethos, and the love and care of Jesus and what Christianity is, as he prescribed, is not being followed by your government, by any right wing organization at the heart of what's going on in Trump's America, and
Well,
in
according to
place
you,
of
and we
criticizing
disagree.
them, you've believed about 1,000 different conspiracy theories about trans people, about immigrants, about basically anything.
No,
And it's made
I
you into
believe.
someone that says very hateful and horrible things. And ultimately, if you really reflect on how you speak about other human beings who are also God's creations according to your own belief system, it's not at all what Jesus says. And it's just really poor. And you can say whatever you like about, oh, you don't know anything, you don't know this, you don't know that. You were insulting my age early. You were saying, oh, I didn't know this. But ultimately, you have not acted in a way, and you don't believe in things that Jesus would say. Yes, this is stuff that is, good.
Ah, I,
This is how
dude,
we should treat ourselves.
you've gotten everything you said wrong today
Okay, Eric.
when it regards religion and the United States of America. You don't know our laws. You don't know what's on our news systems. You don't know the things that even the left have admitted to.
The left.
You don't
And it's
read.
like Gavin
That's
Newsom.
right, the left. They even have admitted some of these things are true. Some of these things have happened. Yes, they have. We read about it every single day in this country, and during the last administration, the last half of the last administration, most of these things we read about in the newspaper every single day, and it wasn't put out by right-wing people. These were things put out by the left too, that they admitted to, that they were proud of. Okay, for over 1,000 days, was it something like that? We had hundreds of thousands and millions of people crossing that border every single day. Every single day, hundreds of thousands. During the month, over a month period of time, it was in the millions, dude. Every month,
Good for them.
illegal. Now we've got. If you just, how can you look at the last Olympics and not stand with women who were beat about in the boxing ring and their legacies stolen by two men?
I'm
Do
sure
you not
Trump's doing a
care?
very good job standing with women at the
Do
moment.
you
Yeah.
not care for the women there? I'm asking you a specific question. Do you not care for the women whose legacies were stolen at the Olympics
No
by
one's
two
legacies
male
were stolen,
boxers?
Eric.
Oh,
They lost fairly, whoever lost.
they
Again,
lost
the
fairly to
right wing
men.
conspiracy theries. No, that didn't happen, Eric.
They
We've
lost
said this
fairly to
already. We're
men.
coming up to the 2 hour mark, Eric. I'm going to have to be going soon. So if there's anything
I
else you'd like to say, then you
Yeah,
have said
I'm
this a few
wondering
times.
why you're not standing for the ladies in the Olympics that lost their gold medals and silver medals to men.
That they didn't, Eric. It wasn't
Well, yes, they did.
the organization that claimed these spurious transphobic things was not a legitimate one. It's not allowed to officiate the boxing conditions because they've been found to be corrupt and bad.
Oh, who's been found to be corrupt and bad?
It was one of the I think it was a Russian boxing administrator. I can't remember the exact details off the top of my head because I don't obsess over random like trans panic nonsense. But
So
I'm
you think it's
sure I'll
cool
put
for a
it in the
man to
chat or
stand
the
in a
comment
boxing
section
ring?
at the end.
You
What,
think it's
sorry?
cool that they've made it legal for a man to beat the hell out of a woman in a boxing ring?
That hasn't happened, Eric. So
Boy,
there's
are you
nothing to.
blind, dude.
Yep, blind.
You know nothing.
I know nothing.
This has happened more than once. It's happened several times. It's happened several. Look at the MMA. It's happened there. It's happened in the
It
boxing ring.
hasn't, Eric. It hasn't.
Look at you. Boy, are you in denial. You
Are
really
you not
need
in
to look
denial,
up on
Eric?
these things. What?
Oh,
Do you everything that disagrees with you? Do you just say that's a lie?
sorry. Well,
Everything that disagrees with you.
when it's pseudoscientific nonsense, then yes, it is lying. When it's stuff that's been chucked out by actual reputable scientists, then yeah, absolutely. Anyway, we're past the 2 hour note now, 2 hour mark now. So we can head to a conclusion if that's all right.
Well, what would you like to conclude with?
Well, I said most of it just there, really, but ultimately, society is one we as humans have to live in right now. We've got to try and make it better for everyone. We've got to move past petty nationalisms and bigotries, and we've got to move past our sort of outdated gender binaries and patriarchal norms masquerading as science and such. And once we do that and realize that we are ultimately all in this together, we can do so much more. Ultimately, I mean, I don't believe in the same stuff you do in terms of like Christianity and stuff, but hey, we can still identify that Jesus said, "Love thy neighbor." If anyone who has that principle in mind wants to put that to use, then there's always stuff we can work together on. It's just moving past the things that are holding us back, like the petty transphobias, the nationalisms, the bigotries and such, and we can do so much more.
Okay. You don't have to close off now if you don't want to. I'm willing to stay on a while, but I will close by saying this. I think that you definitely show your youth and then experience. You show how brainwashed and unthinking you've been in all of this. You haven't thought any of this through. None of your positions have you thought through. You pretend like you know the Bible. From what I've seen, the Bible is what you make it, you personally. It says whatever you say it says. It doesn't matter what anybody else knows better. And it's the same with economics. You think you know everything about economics and how we can stand all of these illegal aliens and that it doesn't take away from our children. But we're going into debt. Trillions, not just billions anymore. Trillions of dollars. We're in debt so far that we can't even pay the interest on our debt.
And Trump added to that.
Well, he added to it, giving it to the people.
Yeah, you've got capitalism's a pretty bad economic system anyway, so I'm not going to sit here and defend that.
But the others, the ones before Trump, were going trillions into debt and giving it to all of the illegals, making sure that they were happy. Now you can laugh about that. You really insult me. Yeah, you really insult me.
They gave trillions to be illegal.
Show me the respect that I showed you and shut your mouth while I'm talking to you, please.
No, you're right. I did interrupt.
This is just more of your inexperience. You don't even have respect.
You made me laugh. I'm very sorry, Eric.
You don't even have respect, dude.
Well, you've said
you
some
can't
pretty
even respect the man sitting across from you. And you expect me to respect illegals that come over here and take what my grandchildren should be getting.
Not too sure of the same thing, Eric.
You expect me to bow to the dudes that want to walk into my granddaughter's bathroom.
Trans people have every right to use the bathroom as much as a sister.
They have the right to use the bathroom. They have men should go to the men's bathroom.
Yeah, trans men are men.
No, men.
Yes.
Men. Trans men are not men.
Men. Yes, they are.
according to you. See, you don't know
According
anything
to you.
about science. You don't
No,
know
you don't know
anything
anything
about
about
biology.
science. You don't know anything about biology.
Look at you.
Look at you.
And there you go, guys. Look at how he answers. He mocks.
Well,
That's the
this is
only
a
answer
mocking
he has.
position, Eric.
And when he was put to the question, when he was put to the test, he couldn't pull up anything that he believed in. He can't show us that. He can't show us that men did not take the those all of those number one places, whether it was in swimming or running,
I can happily
boxing.
link some of the stuff later, Eric, if you'd like. I'll
He
put the
can't.
links in
He can't.
the script.
He can't acknowledge that they're stealing legacies from women. He can't acknowledge that they're making women put up with being exposed to male genitalia in the bathroom, in lockers room, and etc.
Oh dear, right. Eric,
Look
I'm going to
at
head
you.
off now because this is getting a bit silly.
Yeah, I
Have a
guess
nice
you will
evening.
head off because it's much easier. Much
Yeah,
easier for
indeed.
you to head off than to acknowledge that these things happen. That's
Sorry?
okay. But just
Well, no,
know,
we've been through the visa conspiracy for.
just know that I pray with all my heart that we never have any more of like you in our office governing over us again. Our country will be doomed.
Trans people are going to exist forever, Eric.
Every country that is being led by the left that follow your instincts, every single one of them are being ruined right now. Every single one of them. And the people
Unlike
are
America,
panicked.
which is going swimmingly.
The people are
Anyway.
panicked because they know they're in ruin. And it's people, you come from the UK where they have, this is probably why you have no idea these things are happening. Because if people speak up in the UK about these things, they get hit for crimes. They get
Not like in
arrested for
America,
hate
where Trump has
crimes.
done nothing to counter
If
free
they
speech.
say that no, you're either a man or a woman, they could go to jail for a hate crime.
Not sure what's happening at the moment.
If they say
Eric,
no, you shouldn't allow trans men in women's sports, they go to jail for a hate crime. That's why you don't hear this crap over there where you're from.
Just not the case, Eric.
Well, we have freedom of speech, dude. You don't.
No,
we
you
do.
don't, Eric.
Oh, I do.
Your government, you don't. Tweet something about the situation in
I just said it.
Middle East.
I just said it. I just said I have the freedom to say that men have no place in a women's restroom. You don't have that freedom. You can't speak. You can't jump outside
Sadly,
and run up down the road and scream that.
Anyway, we're going round again, Eric. I am going to depart now. Have a nice evening, and
well, show us that video of you running up and down. Go down to the town square, dude. You
have a nice evening, Eric.
Go down the town square and start hollering out how men should not. There he goes, guys. My. Okay, guys, I'm going to open this up. Let me apologize. I was trying as much as I could to just be nice to this guy. I really was. I doubt if he'll want a number 2. And that's okay. If you'd like to give up, come on up and tell me how poorly I did. I know I did poorly. I wasn't really trying to do anything but get him to see something. Hello, Richard. God bless you. Tommy, God bless you. Riley, God bless you. Terry, God bless you. I rebuke him too. Yeah, I don't understand how anybody can believe the things that this man believes. How he can't understand fiscal responsibility. How a nation can only handle so many people. before it starts stealing from the children. And we're stealing a lot from our children. How a person can be brainwashed into thinking that a man can become a woman. A man can be a woman. People like that are lost. You saw that. He's so deluded in everything that he says and thinks and does. My gosh. He's got his own thing set on what the Bible says. And then when he can't find it, he claims, well, it's there. No, it isn't. Jesus, Jesus fed the poor. Jesus fed the poor. But he didn't condone the lawbreakers, did he? Thieves, drunkards, adulterers. Jesus didn't forgive any of that. Or, well, he would forgive it, but not unrepentant. Jesus surely didn't condone it. Jesus loves the sinner, but if we don't repent, turn from our sins, we end up in being punished, don't we? Rightfully so. I guess that'll be it for me, folks. Nobody else wants to come in. I don't blame you a bit. You guys have a wonderful evening. This coming Sunday, Brother Timothy and I will be back up and talking about the parables again. I'm very much looking forward to that. So thank you guys for stopping in and checking it out. I'm sorry if I disappointed any of you guys. I was just actually, I was blown away that somebody could actually really believe some of the things that Owen believed. That he could act so arrogantly about all of these things. That he pretends that all of these illegal aliens don't have an adverse effect on a nation. And evidently, he doesn't care about the legacies that are stolen from women and the things that they are forced to put up with when men can enter the ladies' lockers room. So thank you guys for joining in. God bless you all. If nobody's dropping up, I want to go ahead and call it quits for the evening. I love you guys, and I thank you for joining. Peace and God bless you. In Jesus' name, amen.